Alright, so in this video, I'm going to talk about exponents and different exponent rules. I want you to simplify all of these. So this is for Tuesday, the 22nd. I want you to simplify all of these. When you figure out how to simplify them all, you're done with these. Okay? So we're just going to go over exponents today. This is going to be page 1. I'm going to do on the back page 2. So what I'm going to start with on this is I'm going to start with multiplying bases with the same base with exponents. So if I have the same base, it's like my x times another x. What this really means, x squared is x times x. And what this really means, x cubed, is x times x times x. So a more simple way to do this when I'm writing it out this way is to say this is x to the 5. Because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. So the way that we say that is we're going to add these exponents together. And that means no matter what you're trying to do, you're going to add those exponents together as long as the bases are the same. So if I had something that told me y to the smiley face times y to the sad face, all I'm going to do is add those guys together. So it's going to be y to the smiley face plus sad face. So these are still up in the exponent. The base remains the same, and I add those two guys together. So that's simplification on this guy. If I'm dividing, I have something like x to the third over x squared. Then I'm gonna say x to the x cubed again is x times x times x. X squared is x times x. X divided by x is just 1, so that cancels. Again, just 1, so that cancels. So really all I have here is x. If there is no exponent, it's to the power of 1. So an easier way to do that is I take the exponents and I subtract. So I subtract those guys. 3 minus 2, of course, is 1. If it's an exponent of 1, I don't have to put it. That's the implied exponent, okay? So that's multiplication and division. When I have a power to a power, that's when it looks something like x to the 3 to the 4. That means that I have this 4 times. So I have x to the 3 times x to the 3 times x to the 3 times x to the 3, which we already learned I'm supposed to add these guys all together. So I'm going to go 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So that's going to give me x to the 12. A simpler way to do that is if I have exponents to the exponents or a power to a power, I multiply those guys together. So this becomes 3 times 4, which is 12. Same thing that we just did. Now the one thing that a lot of people forget is when I have something like this, everything in here has an exponent right now. The 3 has an exponent of 1, and it does not have an exponent of 3. So each of these exponents in here is going to get multiplied by 4. So I'm going to get 3 to the 1 times 4, x to the 3 times 4, y to the 2 times 4, or 3 to the 4, x to the 12, y to the 8. That's it. If I wanted to multiply that out, I could. 81, x 12, y 8. Either way is fine, okay? What else? Negative exponents. Negative exponents actually, they mean inverses. So multiplicative inverse means that it multiplies, excuse me, it multiplies to 1. So when I have something like 3 to the negative 1, what do I need to multiply 3 to the 1 by to get 1? Well, I need to multiply 3 times 1/3. So this is the multiplicative inverse, which what that means is whatever I have here, it if it's by itself, it's going to become 1 over that value with a positive exponent, or 1 over 3 to the 1. So if I have x to the negative 2, it's going to become 1 over x to the 2. If it's on the bottom of the exponent, if it tells me, or on the bottom of the fraction, if it tells me like y squared over x to the negative 3. Multiplicative inverse of this is going to be bring it to the top. So the y stays because it had a positive exponent. The x comes to the top. There's nothing left on the bottom, so it's just a 1, which of course I don't have to put the 1. So it's y squared x to the 3. The only other thing that I would talk about is if I have something to the power of 0, it just equals the number 1. Anything to the power of 0. The reason for that is where the 0 comes from is if I have x to the 5 over x to the 5. This means I subtract 5 minus 5, which is 0. So that's where x to the 0 comes from. X to the 5 is x times x times x times x times x. X times x times x times x times x. Cancels to 1, cancels to 1, cancels to 1, cancels to 1, cancels to 1. So that's where that math comes from. And that's it for exponents.